folks, and welcome back to the channel. HappyCattyCrypto here, and let's just jump straight into it. Things are looking really good. We've got a lot of ups, and we've got more ups currently. And the best thing you can do during these times is best place yourself before things do start to move. And then ultimately you can best prepare yourself for when you want to get out. My best advice for anybody that's not financial advice is simply just secure your original investments. Do that at the very least. And then you've got nothing to lose at that point, if that makes sense. What you have, you didn't have to begin with. It's a real good way to sort of remove the emotional connection with wanting something to be that coin that goes to the moon and you being that person that buys it. Sometimes that doesn't always work out, and we find ourselves staring at a chart, watching it go down, 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 and down. So like I said, there are some things that aren't moving. Well, there's quite a lot of things that aren't moving, but one of the things that are moving is LUNC and USTC, to be precise, and Luna. And honestly, right now we're moving against BTC. We're seeing an extended push right now from our own sector, and this could be many different things. It's something we need to understand, that we're symbiotically related to the cosmos, DeFi in general, and it's a very interesting sector to be in. When people make gains in areas like BTC, Ethereum, things like that, once that stops moving and they feel like that's the end of it, they sometimes, and this is never guaranteed, right? Sometimes they go for altcoins. And this is why you get a massive flood of pumps with altcoins, normally like a week or two after BTC pumps. Not always guaranteed, but a lot of the times that does pan out like that. So going back to LUNC, we are seeing a rather extended push. And with these extended pushes comes overextension. And what I mean by this is this line, being the blue line, is getting very heavily extended over the actual orange line. And this means that there's going to be a drawback at some point. At some point, it's going to have to pause and it's going to have to think about, can I hold this position or do I need to come back down? And honestly, this is all down to community sentiment and different things like that, because we have huge amounts of coins locked up. I think it's over 1 trillion now. That's a good contributing factor to chain security. And it's the same with the validating set. Although we did lose 2 validators today from 117 down to 115. But with all of this, just take it as it comes. No one realistically knows what's going to happen as we roll into what is seen as the next bull market, this big run before BTC halves, and then the even bigger run after BTC halves. Something I think that's attributing to a lot of what's going on right now is XRP and them coming out on the back end of all of this. And it's becoming more and more apparent with the ETFs being brought forward, with BTC going mainstream, that at some point the floodgates are going to open to retail. And realistically, if you're on a chain you're developing, your aim is to make your chain as appetizing as possible to retail. Find real world uses, right, where you can make the connection, be it with a library, a train, whatever, a game, whatever. These real world use cases are never to be sneezed at. A lot of people originally, right, I think something which is a real good historical account of more or less not thinking way ahead of times is the original Star Wars sort of situation with merchandising. And if you go and look at how much the original merchandising was sold off by Lucas Limited and that whole process, that, you know, they were selling that off, thinking, yeah, you know, we made a good bang for our buck on this, not knowing where it was going, what it could lead to, and the fandom that it created to this day. And it's the same situation with everything. You should never think to yourself, oh, well, it's only a small real world use case, it won't do much. I mean, at this point, just getting your coin sponsored on a Red Bull can would probably do something monumental. We've seen these kind of silly things happen time and time again. So like I was saying, I'm really hopeful that with XRP coming out at the back end of this, BTC possibly moving up and holding a higher area, the longer it holds this higher area of play, for example, the higher the chances that people are going to get more nervous, more restless, and want to FOMO in, get involved before this big monumental run comes, because there's not going to be many more of these to happen. There's going to be something, And the likelihood is it's going to be mass adoption, which really removes these bull runs, and it just becomes a situation where you're either a coin that made it or you're a coin that didn't make it. And it's the same with the .com era, right? When we look at all of these different things. So like I said, loads of different things are running. USTC is making an absolutely monumental run of 30%. And this is just because it is supposed to be a stable coin. It can make real big jumps like you're seeing now. So for me, I've been saying this for a while. What I want to see is more of these sideways pauses. These are so important as we ascend upwards, because anything that goes upwards like this is just going to come back downwards. We need to come up. Sorry, let me get rid of this. We need to come up, and then we need to track sideways just for a little bit, even if it's just for a couple of hours, right? It's an area of support that we leave, and it's so important before we keep moving up, because you'll just be upset, right, if it goes and nobody's ever happy of that. Yes, you might make a quick gain, a quick buck, but that's not what we're here for. That's not why we're involved in LUNC, and that's not why we do what we do. We've got a lot of different things going on at the moment. I think LUNC's issues stem from a lot of people who have left but still actually have say, play, and sway over different things, and it's getting to a point where you're either in or you're out, and there is no in between. You can't leave a community hanging on a thread. You can't leave validators hanging on a thread, wondering what's going on behind the scenes, wondering what's going on with repository. There's so many ins and outs that anybody who was to come to this chain, for example, to try and take over from them, has to take on a system that only they understand because of the way they've built it. They've not updated the UI and Swagger systems. And what I mean by that is there's no guides, right, to show you that what they did does this and that you can use this API to do this. And it's like being given a really cool toy, and it's got all of these different moving parts, and you've got to put it together, but the instructions are in Chinese and you don't speak Chinese. You don't have Google Translate. You don't have nothing around. You've got no tools whatsoever. We simply have a chain, a hammer, users that want a hammer, do nothing but hammer. We've got lazy development teams. We've got people that are supposed to be, right, very mature people, very down to earth, and seeing this from a business perspective, and we're just not seeing that. So whoever does step up to the plate and put their neck on the line is coming into a whole world of stigma of where they've now got to show that they're a team that can do things and can get stuff done. And ultimately, right, they've got to come in and they've got to pick up all of the pieces off the floor again. And they're the ones who have then got to mess around, take the brunt of trying to figure out what's up to where, what needs doing, what doesn't need doing. Instead, we're left with these sort of people that have gone off, built their own blockchains. And from what I can tell, right, a lot of the guidance comes from people that are not even part of this chain. And, you know, the big validators are not spoken to. Astroport, right? We're leaving. Okay, so why didn't anyone that's on the development side of thing go, what do we need to do to get you to stay? Instead, it's not. It's let them shut down. And what we'll do is we'll steal that technology. Well, not steal it. We'll take a copy of the repository. And instead of spinning it up for the chain, we'll spin it up for our own services. And then once money stops, we can take our services elsewhere and we can spin them up on all sorts of different blockchains. And that's what it boils down to the end of the day. When I look at things from a business perspective, there is no emotion in this. It's just looking at things from a business perspective of saying, yeah, we really got G'd up here. You know, we really paid out a lot of money for nothing. And this was always the risk from the very beginning. And this is why we're fortunate to have All Nodes. We're fortunate to have people like this still in the sector, still building and still wanting to provide infrastructure, support, free. It's perfect for us. And now that we're utilizing it, it's really going to show, because like I said, right, we were moving against BTC for a minute there. And we've done this a few times recently in this extension. It just goes to show there is strength in our community. There is price movement there. And all we need to do is get our heads together, knuckle down, figure out who's drilling holes in the boat, figure out who's not, get a new team in play, get the old teams out, get anybody out who's not supposed to be here anymore, who's not building or contributing. And we can all move forward with a group of people that want to build, doesn't want to sit on Twitter and natter with all of sorts of different people and have every single conversation in public, instead of just picking up the call with someone and just going, hey, you know what, let's talk about this, let's shoot ideas, and then we'll come up with a tweet and we'll explain to the community what we're doing. Instead, you're You're dragging things out on chain. And I think people do this intentionally for attention, to cause drama. And it's just pathetic at the end of the day. And I'm really tired of it. And it's kind of the same with the thing that's going on with USTC. I'm going to need to do a video on that, but I wanted to do a video on this, folks. Stay safe, trade safe. You know, like I said, secure original investments, do what you can. But other than that, none of this is financial advice. Beware of scammers, doppelgangers, anybody pretending to be me. I haven't said that for a while. I'm getting nervous. Catch you in the next one.